From a crazy and a little bit drunk idea became the weekly art classes that I and my mother-in-law attended to try out our creative self. After some weeks we both began to find solace and expression over our mutual passion for painting. As we share techniques and personal stories, our connection deepens, leading to feelings that surprise us both. I don't remember the exact moment my feelings for her changed from friendly admiration to something more significant. I only know it happened slowly. Subtly. Over time, the way I felt when she smiled at me or praised my work began to alter completely. My heart would skip beats in ways I'd long forgotten were even possible. The same goes for how I reacted when she touched me. A fleeting hand on my back or shoulder caused an electric jolt within that was impossible to ignore. But it wasn't just about physical attraction, this was deeper than lust. When we locked eyes during class discussions or shared secrets between paintbrush strokes, there was an unspoken understanding, an emotional bond so strong I could feel it wrapping around us like a warm blanket on cold winter nights. Of course, I never let on how much this meant to me. You see, there were two big problems with falling, or rising, in love with my mother-in-law. Firstly, she is married, to my husband's dad. A good man who treats her well as far as I can tell, and someone whom I once genuinely loved before. They have been together for over 30 years and are still very much in love. They hold hands in public places for goodness sake. So while our connection may have deepened over those art classes each week, which we began attending together after finding out we had both enrolled, it didn't change what was right or appropriate. Secondly, if you haven't already guessed by now, she's a woman. Yes, I am ashamed to admit that I, a married woman, to her son no less, had fallen in love with another woman. What made it even more confusing was that I typically identified as straight, or at least, I had done up until this point. My husband and I's relationship wasn't exactly in the best place either. We'd been married for just over 5 years and the spark from those early days had all but fizzled out. We spent most evenings sitting in silence as he scrolled through his phone, occasionally sharing videos or memes while barely acknowledging my presence. The passion we once shared had been replaced by a slow-growing resentment that neither of us knew how to fix. This made my feelings for his mom even more complicated, especially when you consider the fact that she was the one who helped me find my passion for art again. It was something I'd always enjoyed as a child but had let fall by the wayside during adulthood due to work and other obligations. She encouraged me to sign up for classes at our local community center and even joined herself when she discovered my plans. So there we were, two lonely souls searching for solace and expression in the form of paint on canvas, unknowingly walking hand in hand toward an emotional chasm we never saw coming. Our art teacher, a kind-hearted woman named Mrs. Thompson, began noticing the connection between us two, although she never suspected anything romantic given our familial ties. She enjoyed watching us exchange ideas and techniques during class discussions, often finding inspiration in our words herself. Art has a way of bringing people together, she would say with a smile after one of our more animated debates on color theory or brushstroke techniques. If only she knew how true those words really were. Despite our growing bond, or maybe because of it, I could feel myself slowly withdrawing from her physically each week that passed. As much as my body longed to be close to hers, to feel the warmth of her hand on my skin, I knew it was wrong. So, I would move away slightly when she got too close or avoid eye contact whenever possible. It was a self-defense mechanism designed to protect both our hearts from the danger of acknowledging what we both knew was happening. But deep down, I longed for her touch more than anything else in the world. One day, our art class was cancelled, leaving us alone in the community center. Without missing a beat, she took my hand and led me to the bathroom. We kissed passionately, feeling the long-awaited thrill of forbidden desire. From that moment on, we were addicted to each other. For weeks, I had been suppressing my feelings for her, pushing them deep down into the recesses of my soul. But that day, in the empty community center with no one around to witness or judge us, we finally surrendered to our desires. As soon as she closed the bathroom door behind us, there was a magnetic pull between our bodies. She pressed me against the counter, her hands roaming freely over me as if they had a mind of their own. Our kisses were desperate and hungry, filled with pent-up longing and unspoken emotions. It was a kiss that spoke volumes without uttering a single word, a kiss that ignited a fire within both of us that we could no longer ignore. Her lips trailed from my mouth down my neck, leaving a trail of hot kisses in their wake. I moaned softly as her teeth grazed over my sensitive skin, sending shivers down my spine. With nimble fingers, she began unbuttoning my blouse, revealing the lacy bra underneath that she had unknowingly picked out for me as a Christmas gift. The irony of the situation made me smile against her lips, a small act of defiance against the guilt that threatened to consume me. I reached behind her and untangled her messy bun, letting her silky brown locks cascade down around her shoulders. Running my fingers through her hair, I tugged gently, eliciting a low groan from deep within her throat. Feeling bolder by the second, I slid my hands down to grasp her firm butt, the same butt I had discreetly admired countless times during our art classes, and squeezed it firmly. She gasped into my mouth, her body pressing even closer to mine. The bathroom was filled with the heady scent of our arousal as our bodies melted into one. There was no space between us, only a tangle of limbs and a shared desperation for each other. Her hand dipped beneath my skirt, fingers dancing teasingly along the edge of my thighs. I whimpered in response, my hips instinctively arching towards her touch. "You're so excited," she whispered huskily in my ear, her hot breath sending shivers down my spine. "Is it all for me?" I nodded wordlessly, unable to form coherent thoughts as pleasure coursed through every inch of my body. She smirked, her fingers finally slipping just to the right spot. I moaned loudly, not caring if anyone heard us. The only thing that mattered in that moment was the way she made me feel, alive, desired, and completely and utterly hers. She moved her fingers expertly, exploring every sensitive spot of me as if she had been studying my body for years. And in a way, she had. Our art classes had given her an intimate knowledge of who I was on a deeper level, a knowledge that transcended mere physicality. As I writhed against her hand, lost in a sea of pleasure, I realized that this was more than just a fleeting affair. What we shared was something rare and beautiful, something worth fighting for. I couldn't contain my moans as she pleasured me with skilled fingers, exploring every inch of my body. The bathroom became a sanctuary for our desires, the outside world fading away as we focused solely on each other. Her lips found their way back to mine in a hungry kiss, our tongues dancing together in a passionate tango. Our bodies were pressed tightly against each other, the heat and electricity between us intoxicating. I trailed my hands up her torso, feeling the softness of her skin beneath my fingertips. I let them linger over her chest, teasingly touching her through the fabric of her shirt. She whimpered against my mouth, encouraging me to continue. With a surge of confidence, I unbuttoned her shirt, revealing the lacy bra that hugged her perfect curves. It was now my turn to smile at the irony of wearing matching lingerie, a secret connection that only added to the excitement of our stolen moments. She arched into me, an erotic symphony of moans and gasps spilling from her lips. Her fingers never ceased their ministrations on my body, driving me closer to the edge with every second. I could feel myself unraveling under her touch, my body aching for release. "Please," I begged breathlessly. "I need you." She pulled away slightly, a mischievous glint in her eyes as she stepped out of her shoes and kicked them to the side. Reaching down to grab hold of my butt once more, she lifted me effortlessly onto the counter. Positioning herself between my legs, she removed my panties with agonizing slowness, her eyes locked with mine the entire time. There was an intensity in that gaze, an unspoken promise that this was just the beginning of a journey we were both willing to embark on. Once I was completely bare before her, she stood back and took a moment to admire the sight. The raw desire in her eyes made me feel vulnerable and exposed, yet I had never felt more beautiful or cherished. Unable to wait any longer, she positioned herself between my legs. In the fraction of an eye blink we became one, causing us both to gasp in unison. I was filled with an overwhelming sense of completeness as we moved together, each movement bringing us closer to the edge of ecstasy. Our bodies danced together in perfect rhythm, the intensity of our connection growing with every passing moment. I wrapped my legs around her hips, pulling her impossibly closer as I surrendered myself completely to the pleasure coursing through me. Our moans mingled in the air between us, creating a symphony of passion that echoed throughout the bathroom. As we neared the peak of our arousal, she leaned forward and captured my lips in a searing kiss, her tongue exploring my mouth in perfect